All right, for today's episode, we're gonna sweat the small stuff because this small stuff that we're sweating is actually pretty big if you aren't getting it correct. So we're gonna talk about, I don't wanna say pet peeves, but they are. And they're pet peeves for just about any law enforcement officer you could possibly meet on the planet, as well as military people. So if you're portraying these people, please don't hit their pet peeves. Okay, the first one is one that we see a lot, and it might as well sound like fingernails on a chalkboard when you say this line. Let me demonstrate. Oh my gosh, I'm out of ammo. Someone help.
Have a clip.
This is not a clip, this is a magazine. A clip is actually what you use for a revolver. It's where you take all the different rounds of ammo and you put them in a clip to clip them together, and then you put it in the cylinder. This is actually a magazine. A magazine comes from the old term from the French when they would store their cannon powder and cannonballs in the magazine, which was their storage room. So when you are working with a semi-automatic weapon, such as this one, this is a magazine that goes in it. All right, the second pet peeve that we're gonna talk about is from your Foley effects in post-production, where you hear the sound of a hammer being cocked. It's a nice sound, I know why it's done. It adds tension to your scene. When you hear that, the audience thinks something about to go down. The problem is, not all weapons have hammers, yet we always hear the hammer cocking on those hammerless weapons. Please hand me. This is a Glock. It is a very common weapon. There is nothing for me to cock on that weapon. So when a Glock comes out, there should not be a click for the hammer. There's also reasons why this isn't done in real life. When I draw my weapon, if I've got to take the time to pull the hammer, that's an extra second. And when you're talking about objects that fly at 800 to 1400 feet per second, that second counts. Another reason that you may not want the Foley sound of the hammer being cocked is because most police weapons actually cannot do that. This is what's called a double action, single action weapon, which means the first time I fire, this hammer is gonna have to go all the way back as I pull the trigger. And then that slide, every time it comes back, leaves the hammer in the single action, so then it's really quick. And by the way, don't do this in real life, you will go deaf. Police weapons actually have that single action turned off. Every time you pull the trigger on a police weapon, it's gonna go back to that double action. It's a double action only weapon. Police departments do this for liability because on a single action, it's actually really easy to pull the trigger when you're nervous. It's only about a 3-pound pull to pull it. In double action, it's a lot longer pull. All right, third pet peeve that we see often in movies. The slide has been locked back. A slide locks back on an empty weapon. If you have an empty weapon, it's pretty hard to do what a gun is supposed to do, which is shoot bullets. A lot of times in movies, you'll see the actor hold a gun with the slide locked back, they aim in, suddenly they're firing a bullet. If you're an actor and you see this, there's nothing that can be done about it in post-production. If this is your best line, you're gonna have a line with an empty weapon. You look down, you see you've got your slide locked back. This right here is a slide release mechanism. It is pretty much universal on any semi-automatic weapon that you're gonna hold. Put your thumb on it, drop it back down. Really quick, just get it back into charge. All right, so we've talked about 3 different things of how we're gonna sweat the small stuff. We've talked about the difference between a magazine versus a clip. We've talked about cocking the hammer on weapons that actually have hammers. And we've talked about having your slide locked back on an empty weapon. Hopefully this helps. Tune in next time and we'll talk about other really cool, exciting stuff, which I have no idea right now because we haven't filmed it. Woohoo!